All right, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to go over the number one cleanse your body desperately needs. It doesn't matter what health issue you have, what symptoms you're trying to rid yourself of, or if you're already feel like you're doing pretty good, but you just want to take the most proactive steps to maintain your good health. You have to learn how to take care of your liver the right way. So you can forget about all these parasite cleanses and colon cleanses and all this nonsense out there that's not actually going to move you forward. You have to understand how to work with the natural cleansing process of your liver and enhance that. That's all we're doing is we want to enhance, we want to let that shine, let that flourish. We don't need to force anything. We just need to work with what's already trying to take place in our body. All right, so we'll get right to that. If you are already a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to me, my name is Dr. James Nall. I'm a chiropractor who used to practice functional medicine, but stopped many years ago because I realized it's nothing more than an expensive way to feel like you are doing something useful for your health. But at the end of the day, you're not really. So in 2016, I came across the medical medium principles, and I have never looked back. It is the number one way for anyone who's looking to actually heal and reverse chronic health issues. I do have a coaching offer, a coaching program that where I show people how to utilize medical medium protocols, but I realize not everyone's going to be willing or able to do a coaching program. So I want to provide some free value here. Also, if you're just kind of checking things out, this is a good place to kind of see how I look at these issues. So let's get into it here. All right, so why is it important to cleanse your liver? Or doesn't your liver just kind of cleanse itself? Like, why would we have to do anything extra, right? Well, here's the bottom line. Your liver is like a filter in your body, and it gets backed up, it gets clogged up because we are up against so much more today than ever before in human history. So yes, your liver does cleanse itself. That's what I was referring to either earlier, where I mentioned like we just have to work with that normal mechanism. But we now have more viruses, more bacteria, more toxic chemicals and heavy metals, more stress hormones. People are eating terrible diets, and your liver cannot keep up with that. It cannot keep up with that. And when your liver gets overburdened, it spills over into everything. It's connected to all your issues. You've got fatigue, gut issues, mood issues, brain fog, aches and pains, you name it. It's tied into all of them. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with like, what should I do? If you were to just focus on like doing the right things to cleanse your liver, that's going to overlap because the things that you need to do to cleanse your liver, they're also antiviral. They're also antibacterial. They also cleanse toxic heavy metals out of the body. So this is a great big picture plan of attack if you just want to start doing some great stuff for your body and your health. But yeah, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, they produce a toxic waste product, and that clogs up your liver. Toxic heavy metals that you have no idea that you're exposed to. You were born with toxic heavy metals. They're in the air, they're in food, they're everywhere. So it's to your benefit to learn how to actually let those cleanse out of the body. Stress hormones in today's fast-paced world, it's too much to keep up with. They are toxic to the liver. All the adrenaline, those fight or flight hormones, those take a toll on the liver. And then the decades and decades of the high-fat diets that you were on, even if you are vegan or plant-based, I can almost guarantee that you had way more fat in your diet than your body and your liver would like. That's a big stressor on the liver because the liver has to work to produce bile to disperse that fat when you eat it. And when it does that, it's not cleansing. It's not doing some other things. So that's something we have to work away from. All right, so if we're going to cleanse the liver, everyone's got a liver cleanse out there, right? But we're talking about medical medium protocols, which are the cream of the crop, shall we say. So there's a couple of guidelines or a couple of things that you are going to have to occur in a good, useful liver cleanse. Number one, there's no fat. Because like I mentioned before, as soon as you eat fat, that stops your liver's normal cleansing process. So guess what? if you can refrain from eating any fat for prolonged periods, you're not shutting off your normal cleansing mechanism. And if the goal is to cleanse, it's not real complicated, right? Like, all right, well, let's not do something that stops the cleansing process. And if you're worried about you won't get enough healthy fats, that is a complete misdirection. You do not have to worry about that. I've talked about that in other videos. But that's one of the mentally the hardest things for people to break free of that old belief. And that's why so many people always stay stuck struggling with their chronic health issues. Number 2 is we want to flood the liver with healthy glucose, fruits, potatoes, even raw honey. And no, those are not harmful for the liver whatsoever. There's no truth to that whatsoever. Fruits, vegetables, potatoes, those are healthy. Those have the nutrients that your liver needs. Those have antioxidants, phytochemicals that help reverse disease. They're the building blocks of health. Mineral salts. So these are the healthy salts in whole food form. So I'm not talking about like fancy sea salt or Himalayan salt. Those are not useful. Those are actually bad for the liver. We're talking about mineral salts that you'll get in things like celery juice and leafy greens. Those are the healthy salts. Those actually drive bad salts out of the liver and out of the body. And those are part of the equation, along with glucose, of what your body and what your liver requires to be healthy and function at its best. And then we want to flood the body with living water. And if that's a new term for you, that just refers to the fact that most water that you get, it's been depleted of its vital life force, if you want to call it that. And we need to bring it back to life. A real easy way to do that is just squeezing some fresh lemon or lime juice into your drinking water. And the living electrolytes in that kind of wake up that water and make it very useful for the human body. So we want to make sure we're doing all these things in a solid liver cleanse here. There's a lot of ways that people do a liver cleanse incorrectly. So they might restrict calories, right? They might say like, well, we only need 1,200 calories, or God forbid, like 500 calories or something like that. We need to just give everything a total break. That's going to backfire. That's going to, you might lose some weight doing that, sure, but that's not a healthy way to lose weight. And that's going to backfire. When you're doing a proper cleanse, you should not be hungry. You continue to eat the foods that are on the cleanse, as much of those as you need. If you're thinking that you're going to add some olive oil to your liver cleanse, and that's going to help you, that's absolutely not true, because olive oil obviously is a fat. It's considered a healthy fat, true, but it stops cleansing immediately. So you do not need any healthy fat, no oil, nothing like that. Some people want to do a juice cleanse, and they buy those, nice, well-marketed, prepackaged bottles of juice, and they live on that for like 3 days or something like that. Those packaged juices are not good. Guys, when you juice something, it loses its healing properties like pretty quick. Like orange juice, you've got like an hour to drink that. Other juices, you might have like 24 ounces before they've oxidized and they've lost their healing benefits. But I mean, these packaged juice things, by the time they make it to you, they don't have most of their good properties anymore. So that's not a good way to try to take care of your liver. Skipping meals. A lot of people like to do intermittent fasting, maybe skip breakfast and lunch. It's another thing that's going to backfire on your liver. It creates more work for your liver in the long run, and it's just not sustainable. You cannot starve your way to better health, I promise. And then water fast, the granddaddy of all types of cleanses and fasting, right? This is a terrible idea for 99.9% of people, because your liver does let go of toxins very quick when you are just putting water in your body. But that water by itself is not enough to bind onto those toxins and make sure they leave the body. So those toxins just end up floating around, recirculating, and your liver has to deal with them all over again. Not great. And that's a key. That's why we're doing liver cleansing, is we want the liver to let go of old toxins that it's been storing. Some toxins you were born with. So that's the purpose of it. And yeah, a water fast is going to do that too aggressively. But when you're doing it with the right foods will, in the right structure, it will set it up so your liver does this in a safe way that actually makes sure that these toxins leave your body. So that is the goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish. This is so chaotic. This is just like a 5-alarm fire there. But if you do it the right way, then you can just take this natural progression and release old toxins from the liver, but also make sure they're not going back to your liver in a couple days, right? So the outlook, and before I get into this, let me tell you, the pinnacle of liver cleanses are the 3-6-9 cleanses by Medical Media. And you can read more about those in the book called Cleanse to Heal, and I'll include a link in the description of this video. You can check that out. But that's you can't do better than that. It is a top healing tool. Now, can you heal without doing a 3-6-9 cleanse? Yeah, it's possible. Do a lot of people benefit or need to do them to get to where they want to go? Absolutely. Sometimes you have to do multiple rounds. Sure. That's a realistic situation for a lot of people. But they're also very rewarding once you get the hang of it, and they become enjoyable at a certain point. When you start out, the first one's usually the toughest. But once you get past that, then you gain some comfort and some confidence. And I work with my clients all the time for a lot of them, that's a big goal, is to get that first 3-6-9 cleanse under their belt. And once you understand it and you've been through it, then guess what? You can go back to that and you can do that as many times as you feel you need to or want to for the rest of your life. And that's a powerful tool that you now own. But yeah, you can find them in the book Cleanse to Heal as well. So the outlook with a good liver cleanse should be like, hey, this is not like a one-time thing. You know, I've seen people go into it with the mindset, they don't verbalize this, but I can tell from talking to them after, it's like, I did a 3-6-9. I did some good liver cleansing. And to them, they thought that would kind of fix whatever problems they had. When in reality, a lot of us are going to need to do multiple liver cleanses to get to where we want to go. They can be a roller coaster. They can be tough. You might not finish your first cleanse that you try. That's okay. So what? You did 3 days of a 9-day cleanse. That's great. It's better than what you otherwise would have been doing. And, sometimes you have to, once you fall off that bike, you just have to say, okay, I fell, and, decide when you want to get back on the bike and try that again, because you can always go back and do it down the road. But at the end of the day, it is a top healing tool because it gets rid of so much old stuff that's stored in the body. And this is a factor because people who have like viral related issues, and maybe they cut out all the foods they're supposed to. They're no longer eating eggs, dairy, gluten, corn, soy. They don't go out to restaurants anymore. They're not getting accidental exposures. And, it seems like these bugs are still kind of causing some activity. It's possible that they're able to go back into the liver and feed on old toxic heavy metals that are still stored in the liver. And you need to do some deeper cleansing to get those out. But when you start to stack up more liver cleanses and you let that liver breathe more and more, it's undeniable. Your symptoms fall away. You get better and better. Yes, some people have to be more persistent with it, but at least you know what the path out is. So a top healing tool, something that anyone who's serious about their health is going to want to at least work towards at some point. And anyone can do it with some guidance and support. Sometimes that's very useful, but it's there for anyone who wants to heal. All right, that's it for today.